Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner.
Hi, folks. Welcome back. And those of you that are new, welcome. From Fox News, Georgia Democrats shredded for smearing Justice Thomas as an Uncle Tom. Disgusting. Georgia State Senator Emanuel Jones compared the Supreme Court justice to one who sold his soul to the slave masters. This is what I'm talking about. This is so much bull, I can't even tell you. You talk about decorum. They say, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert and all of them, and Gates and some of the senators in the Republican side they're just ridiculous and too loud and too in your face. And you know what? Republicans and conservative people have been taking this kind of abuse for decades. And finally, some of them are pushing back, and they don't like it. Listen to this jerk. Let's just listen to this moron first, and then we'll go on the rest of the article.
The statue of Clarence Thomas on this grounds, we cannot avoid that conversation, so I'm not going to avoid it either. In the black community, we have an expression, and I don't want to use this label too deeply here because I'm just trying to tell you what we have in the African American community. When we talk about a person of color that goes back historically to the days of slavery and that person betraying his own community, we have a term in the black community. That term that we use is called Uncle Tom.
Now I'm going to stop it there and make a comment. First of all, you moron, you think all black people think the same. That in itself is racist. You are an ass. Number two is, if you had any knowledge of history or literature from that time, being the Civil War time, Uncle Tom's Cabin, very famous book. Some people say it sparked the Civil War. The character in Uncle Tom's Cabin, Tom, was the hero, you moron, you idiot. He's the one that wouldn't tell the slaveholder when and where the slaves ran away. He gave up his life to protect his people. And you think that's a derogatory term? You're an idiot. You're a moron. Let's listen to this idiot some more.
Uncle Tom is either a fictional or non-fictional character. I don't really know the origin of Uncle Tom, but it talks about a person.
That's right. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. All you want to do is slander people that have gotten off the Democrat plantation. You're the epitome of what you're saying is wrong. A sitting Supreme Court justice, the one that was appointed by President Bush after Thurgood Marshall retired.
Person who back during the days of slavery sold his soul to the slave masters.
He sold his soul to the slave masters. You're the idiot that has a Democrat Party has become the plantation. Social media users were outraged Wednesday when a Georgia state senator smeared Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas as an Uncle Tom. The Georgia Senate approved placing a statue of Thomas at the state capitol on Tuesday. If you watch the documentary on Thomas's life, this man came from nothing. When I say nothing, I mean less than nothing. Now he sits on the Supreme Court. You ass! But State Senator Emanuel Jones slammed the justice and second black citizen to serve on the Supreme Court as a traitor to his racial group. I'm just trying to tell you that we have an African community. When we talk about a person of color that goes back historically the days of slavery and that person betraying his own community, we have a term in the black community. Senator Jones, who himself is black, said before the Georgia Senate. Uncle Tom is either a fictional or non-fictional character. First of all, find out what the hell you're talking about. I really don't know the origin of Uncle Tom. That's right, you ass. But you use Uncle Tom all the time, I have no doubt. It talks about a person who back during the days of slavery sold his soul to the slave masters. What slave masters? The slave masters of the Constitution of the United States? Clarence Thomas is the epitome of what America is all about. Coming from nothing, less than nothing, and sitting on the Supreme Court. the founders and the ideology of this country and its constitution and its concepts were set up for people like Clarence Thomas. You just don't like his politics because all black people think the same. That, folks, is racist. Commentators across Twitter slammed the state senator for a variety of angles for his disparaging comparison. Justice Thomas, one of the greatest Americans in our history and perhaps the revolutionary and exceptional jurist of at least the last century, will never, ever stop paying for the thought crime of being black and conservative. What's old is new again for the Democrats. That's right. That's right. It's just the Democrats are still the Democrats. The same soup, just reheated. Radio host Derek Hunter tweeted, "Know your place. Man, making sure black men learn Democrats do not want them to think for themselves." That's right. A Democratic legislator called Clarence Thomas an Uncle Tom because he's conservative. There's nothing the left hates more than the black Americans who don't conform to their agenda. That is exactly right. And that, by definition, is racism. As I'm raising my voice and acting a little angry is because I'm outraged. And everybody was saying, well, all these new MAGA Republicans got big mouths and they act like jerks and they're always in your face. Well, you know what? Been listening to this garbage for decades, and they're finally pushing back. The left is so outraged by a proposal to build a statue of Clarence Thomas in the Georgia Capitol that one unhinged lawmaker compared to Uncle Tom. Other commentators spoke about Thomas's own history, suggesting Democrats are using double standards when they criticize him in such terms. Digital strategist Pete Rice tweeted, Clarence Thomas may have been born in Georgia in poverty during segregation and grew up to become the second black justice on the Supreme Court, but he can read the Constitution and see there's no right for it to kill unborn babies. Therefore, he is an Uncle Tom. The Supreme Court did not rule abortion was unlawful. Period. All it said was that right or that law concerning abortion is put back to the states. It's not a federal issue. McSunnyface, a prominent conservative Twitter account, great name. Clarence Thomas was born to farmer descendants of slaves, grew up poor in the Jim Crow South, and speaks English as a second language. If he voted differently on abortion, Democrats would consider him one of the leading inspirational stories of our modern era. Clarence Thomas was raised by a single mom to become a Supreme Court justice. His life would have been remarkable. And for Democrats to try to smear him is disgusting. If Clarence Thomas was a liberal, any city across the country would have a statue of him. They have schools named after him, too. But since, remember the famous quote from Biden? If you think about voting for Trump, you're not black. That's the real Democrat Party. I used to belong to it. I live in upstate New York. I used to be a local elected official in the early 2000s. I was on city council president in 2006 as a Democrat. And I knew back then the Democrat Party was not for me. But I hung on as long as I could. And I eventually left the party. George Floyd can have statues, but he won't utter a word about that. But Clarence Thomas is an achiever that has superseded race, and I idiotically call him an Uncle Tom in front of your colleagues. Thank you for confirming what I already thought about you. Yeah, they have statues of George Floyd. Can't go into too much detail because I'm currently under a strike from this website, and I can't really say what I want to say. So Twitter users took the issue from a clearly different perspective, claiming Jones was not aware of the actual Uncle Tom character the term came from. If he wasn't aware, they're defending a guy that has no idea what it means, and then he uses it to slur a sitting Supreme Court justice. That's okay? Most people who use Uncle Tom as a slur never bother to read Harriet Beecher Stowe's novel. Then he might be surprised what they learn. It's not even the actual story of Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was a hero because he used non-resistance as a cover and tactic to protect other slaves who escaped slavery. The character was beaten to death by a slave owner because he wouldn't give the location of two escaped slaves. Guy's a hero. You pompous ass. I love this one. This Georgia legislator is so dumb he doesn't even know the source of the slur Uncle Tom. But he knows that he abominates Clarence Thomas, who rose from desperate poverty to extraordinary eminence. because Thomas is conservative. This fool thinks he deserves to be smeared. And that's the real Democrat Party. They say and do whatever they want to, and then when Republicans and conservative people push back, you scream and holler, there's no decorum anymore. Well, you know what? Screw you. It's about time the conservative people fought back. Meanwhile, some liberal Twitter users appear to say they wish that justice had trended on Twitter due to death or illness. This is I wouldn't even wish that on Ginsburg. Rest her soul. She's gone. And 99.9% of what she believed in, I don't. And then the current liberals that are on there now, I don't believe almost anything they say, but I would not wish them to die. Damn it. I saw Clarence Thomas trending and had some very evil hope in my heart, said director Jen McGowan. No such luck. You know what? Screw you. SAS Joel and Nealon wrote, Clarence Thomas is trending, but not for the reason you have hoped. Hope that a sitting Supreme Court justice dies. They're just really PO'd because Donald Trump, President Trump, got to appoint three Supreme Court justices. That's very unusual, and thank God for that. I'll tell you the truth, honestly, to have that situation where he was able to appoint 3 justices is intervention from God, in my opinion, because that's the only thing that's keeping the Democrats in this country from falling apart. On the Second Amendment issue, on Roe v. Wade, the list is endless, and that's the Supreme Court. So you know what? Kiss my behind. I'm going to push back just as hard as you push. And it's about time conservative people stood up and said this is enough and used the same tactics that the Democrats are using. They're losing, and they know they're losing. Do not give up hope. Now we have to double down and push even harder. Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.